A real murder mystery can take years or even decades to solve. In these harrowing true crime stories, investigators are often faced with a lack of crime scene evidence. Sometimes they need to wait years for forensic science to provide new ways to examine crime scene evidence. In the most complex stories, they simply don't have good case leads. Any of these factors can cause a murder case to go cold, but in these horror stories, not unsolved. Number 5. It was a real-life horror story that stunned the public. On January 4th, 1996, 22-year-old Jade Benning made an emergency phone call to 911 to report an attack in the Santa Ana, California apartment that she shared with her boyfriend, Christopher Hervey, also 22. At the crime scene, investigators were unable to locate the murder weapon that had been plunged multiple times into Chris's chest. Jade Benning had survived the encounter, but her witness testimony was vague. A witness told police that they saw a man running from the apartment building. This supported Jade's story, that an unknown man had entered the apartment, attacked her on the hand, and then fled after taking her boyfriend's life. A second neighbor said that they'd heard a loud argument taking place shortly before the killing occurred. Jade was reportedly not a criminal suspect in the murder mystery until 2020, when a letter arrived at the local police precinct. Although the contents of the letter have not been publicly released, the information contained enough clues to issue an arrest for Jade and potentially get the mystery solved. After following up on the case and conducting a forensic investigation, officers arrested her at her home in Texas on May 3, 2022. Exactly what they tested has not been revealed as the trial is still underway. She was extradited to California, where she's being held on a $1 million bail. Number 4. On September 5, 1992, the body of 25-year-old computer engineer Lori Houts was found in her vehicle near a garbage dump about a mile from her work in Mountain View, California. Her murder case is a scary mystery that illuminates the complexities of the legal system. Although a suspect was tried twice over the years, detectives are hopeful that new evidence that has recently come to light in the most recent arrest will finally result in a criminal conviction. Her attacker had used a rope to end her life. A crime scene investigator discovered fingerprints outside of her car, and after a forensic examination, they were found to belong to the roommate of Laurie's boyfriend, a man named John Woodward. The fingerprint evidence was used in 2 separate trials, but the unsolved case was dismissed for insufficient evidence when a jury was unable to reach a verdict. With the murder mystery unsolved, John moved to the Netherlands as police continued to gather evidence in the unsolved case against him. In 2005, investigators re-examined the rope that was found at the crime scene, but the real breakthrough in the case would not come until 2022. Men have XY chromosomes and women have XX chromosomes, and using the new forensic technique, investigators can extract a lot of DNA information from a small sample just by searching for the Y chromosome. It's a new scientific technique called YSTR analysis. When investigators examined the rope in 2005, all they were able to obtain was DNA evidence from Lori Houts. However, using a YSTR analysis, forensic investigators were able to isolate a small patch of new DNA evidence from an unknown male, evidence that was not possible to detect years ago. John, now the CEO of a tech company, was intercepted and arrested at an airport in New York in July of 2022 when he arrived in the United States for personal reasons. He's currently in custody awaiting a third and, if proven guilty, final step in getting this strange murder mystery solved. Number 3. The scary mystery of Deanna Beaudoin began on January 6, 1977. The 21-year-old who majored in marketing management at Arizona State University had dinner with her parents before returning to her apartment in Tempe, Arizona. After dinner, she met a friend at a nearby bar and parted ways at about 12:30 a.m. to go to her apartment. At 2 in the morning, her boyfriend found her body in the bedroom. She had no known enemies, and there was no known reason anyone would target her. Deanna's horror story quickly became a scary mystery, relegated to the state police department's cold case files. Although the intruder left DNA evidence at the scene, technology in the 1970s could not identify a perpetrator from this crime scene evidence. The case went cold until the early 2000s, when major upgrades were made to expand the national DNA database used to solve murder mystery cases. In 2002, a man named Clarence Dixon was indicted for the true crime mystery. Clarence had no connection to Deanna, but he was a former ASU student who lived across the street from her in 1978. A year prior, he was arrested for an attack on another woman in the area. At trial, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia and committed to an Arizona state hospital. The judge ruled that he was not guilty by reason of insanity, but suggested that he would be civilly committed to the state hospital due to the danger he posed. Despite this recommendation, the county courts instead released him. 2 days later, he ended Deanna's life in what many in the true crime community feel was an easily preventable murder mystery. Several months after attacking Deanna, Clarence attacked a third young woman, a Northern Arizona University student, and was sentenced to serve life in prison. He's been incarcerated since 1986. He was served with capital punishment and met his fate in May of 2022, nearly 44 years after he took Deanna's life. Number 2. DNA technology played a major role in the tragic true crime case of Gail Barras, a Michigan single mother of 3 who was killed in October of 1988. 30-year-old Gail worked 2 jobs to make ends meet for her family. She was last seen between 3 and 4 a.m. on October 9, 1988, exiting a coffee shop where she'd spent between half an hour and an hour unwinding after working a long shift. Gail reportedly sat in a booth with 2 men. When she failed to return home, her family called the police and a 15-day search ensued. The hunt for Gail ended in a murder mystery case. On October 25th, her body was found in nearby Emmett Township, Michigan. She had been attacked with a blade, and defensive marks showed a prolonged struggle had taken place. The case quickly became a murder mystery, with few leads for the police to investigate. Investigators soon discovered Gail's car had never left the parking lot of the coffee shop that she was in that night. Someone had impounded it, believing the car to be broken down. This crucial piece of evidence pointed to the 2 men Gail was seen with as the primary suspects. However, identifying the individuals proved difficult, as no concrete information was known about them. A witness did call in to say that they'd seen Gail arguing with a man next to a green pickup truck in the coffee shop parking lot. This critical piece of evidence pointed investigators towards a local man named Roger Allen Plato. Roger's car matched the description of the green pickup, and Roger was already a suspect in more unsolved cases of local attacks in the area. On October 23, 1988, 2 days before Gail's remains were found, Battle Creek police went to speak to Roger about the other assault case. However, before they could question him, he entered into a physical altercation with an officer and lost his life. A medical examiner took biological DNA samples from his body and put them into storage. However, the man himself was cremated, and the samples were not cross-flagged as relevant to Gail's case. This meant that for decades, police were unable to conclusively identify Roger as the perpetrator, even though circumstantial evidence suggested that he was involved. They were even able to obtain DNA from Gail's undergarments, but because Roger's DNA was not on file, the forensic results did not help get this mystery solved. Around the 30th anniversary of Gail's passing in 2018, one of her sons called the Battle Creek Police Department to request an update on her case. A local paper covered the scary mystery and published Roger's name, and a county sheriff who had held onto a vial of plasma evidence realized he might be able to solve the case. The ensuing DNA testing resulted in what reports have called an almost perfect match, criminally connecting Roger beyond a shadow of a doubt to Gail. In February of 2021, county police officially ruled the cold case murder mystery closed after more than 30 years. Number 1. One of the oldest unsolved murder cases in Pennsylvania may have been solved by new forensic evidence collected from a discarded coffee cup. On December 5, 1975, the body of a young woman named Lindy Sue Beekler was found at her apartment in Spring Manor, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and a blade had been used. A male footprint was found in her kitchen, but there were no other conclusive pieces of evidence at the scene. Police interviewed and cleared nearly 300 people in the 2 months following Lindy's passing, including her husband. The murder mystery would remain unsolved. As early as 1989, investigators attempted to use DNA analysis to inspect a red splatter that was found at the crime scene. However, the sample could not be analyzed by the available machinery. It was not until 2011, when another nearby cold case was solved with the help of advanced analysis, that investigators turned back to Lindy's murder case. Parabon Nanolabs was able to analyze and interpret a small amount of DNA that was collected from the clothing Lindy had been wearing at the time of the attack. That DNA indicated that the perpetrator had ancestral ties to a small town in the southern part of Italy. Armed with this data, as well as a general age for the suspect, scientists were able to use genetic genealogy and historical records to narrow in on an individual who lived in the area and was the right age at the time of the attack. The man, David Sinopoli, had never been on the radar of possible suspects before DNA analysis indicated that he might be involved. However, without a confirmed sample of David's DNA, there was no way to prove that he was the murderer. Police officers who were working the case retrieved a coffee cup that he had discarded at the Philadelphia airport before booking a flight. DNA analysis confirmed his profile matched the DNA that was found on Lindy's clothes at the crime scene. He was arrested and charged in July of 2022 and is currently being held without bail pending his criminal trial. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But my name is Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.